and ready to go. Jacket and on, looking fresh. How you feeling? The season's over finally, huh? No, you don't have to push the hopium anymore. Good for you.
That's right. That's right. Hey, but it came down to the final season with all the hopium, but the hopium was gone very quickly today, as it was clear that 7-0 became 14-0 and 21-0 in that Chiefs Broncos game. It didn't matter. I basically stopped paying attention to the game. I just relaxed. I got my stories up quickly, and then just said, all right, let me get my questions ready for post game, and let's pack it in.
So Tyreek has been a horse's ass from day one. He has done all kinds of stupid shit here, off the field, on the field, all of that. Hasn't really come through in big moments too, and is always quick to complain. Never really a guy that takes accountability. And I thought today again was another page in Tyreek's soap opera with this team. They didn't have to give him that money in the offseason, and that front office made a huge mistake, which, by the way, I know I was very alone on that island, and I said, do not give him money. Do not guarantee him anymore. Let him leave after this season. And most everybody wanted him back, and look what we got now. What do you do with this mess? Because I don't know if the dude knows, but he's untradeable right now. I don't know if he knows this, but he's untradeable. Okay? Like, it's funny to watch the Jimmy Butlers of the world. Like, let me approach the worst way possible to try to create a trade and create value for myself. Here, this is what I'll do. And here's this moron the same way. Let me just about kill my value and kill what's going on with the team. So talk to me about this mess.
Yeah, I don't know what price teams are willing to pay. Not only that, I mean, the Dolphins, it results in what's the number, 28.297 million of dead money in 2025, trading pre-June 1 Tyreek Hill. But what team also is going to offer anything of value at this time when Tyreek Hill is at his lowest, now going into his 30s, and just had his first non-Pro Bowl season? I mean, I'm sure, yes, still talented, of course, can do some things, but even then, not coming through in big moments. And then now you see the distractions that he can create, where he lets his frustrations out as a season comes to an end, and basically puts the word out there that he doesn't want to be here anymore. So, and it's to the organization. They are you reap what you sow, and they're getting hit with now the penalties of what happens when you just try to make everyone happy, and you go and Tua, you get your contract guarantee, and Jaylen Wobble got his contract active very early in the season, and then you go ahead and give Tyreek Hill what he wants, because he said he wanted his guarantees so much. So, and also there's a statement that the Dolphins just released. So.
Yes, Stephen Ross says, I want to thank the players and coaches for their hard work throughout the 2024 season, as well as the fans for their support. As the owner of this team, I am ultimately accountable for our successes and failure. We fell short of our expectations this season, and I understand and share in the frustrations in our performance on the field. As we now look towards 2025, our football operations will continue to be led by Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel with my full support. Okay? Their positive working relationship is an asset to the Dolphins. And I believe in the value of stability. We'll continue to have that goofball on the sidelines fucking up every goddamn challenge. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. However, continuity in leadership is not to be confused with the acceptance that the status quo is good enough. No shit. I've been seeing it for 40 years, Stephen. Again, edited. We will take a hard look at where we have fallen short, like fucking everywhere, and make the necessary changes to deliver our ultimate goal of building and sustaining a winning team that competes for a championship. Okay?
So, right, you added some things into that quote, just to be clear. So some of it was Big O talking.
And I also added yesterday that it was a load of fucking shit that Chris Greer was going to retire. That was a load of shit. Okay? I got nothing against Jonathan Jones from CBS. He was a fine receiver in his own right and all that good stuff. I know he tries to play an insider there on CBS. I got more insight on the Dolphins than he would ever have in his entire fucking life. Okay? The biggest joke in the building was they just signed multi-year deals. How are they walking away from guaranteed money? Like in the building, they're laughing, literally laughing at that report. Literally laughing. Like, who walks away from guaranteed money? Seriously, where do people come up with these stories? And I get it, bro. You're in the media, so you don't really want to, like, me, I'm in the media, but I don't give a fuck. And I will step on anybody's toes and crush the fucking toes if I have to. Why? If you're going to put out bullshit misinformation, I'm going to fucking crush that misinformation. If it's the team that I know about better than anybody on CBS combined, I'll tell them. Okay? That's some stupid shit that's put out there that, oh, he's going to retire. Bro, come on.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah, and well, what I remember when I read it, I could kind of tell the way it was worded because sometimes when I'm writing a report, I have to make sure I word myself carefully, and I could tell when the report worded whatever it said, popular rumor going around. He was indicating in his report that it's not that this is direct knowledge of what's going on in the Dolphins camp. It's that people around the league are talking, and this is a rumor that others that he really does talk to are saying what might be happening. But those sources probably definitely didn't have the true knowledge of what's actually going on behind Dolphins doors. So I think that much came to light. But I could tell he was saying there was rumors going around that a lot of people were talking this might happen. But how they got that information, who knows?
It's not information. They got misinformation.
Or that misinformation. Correct. Right.
Misinformation that they put out there because that's some bogus. That's some competing GM or pissed off agent or something just throwing it out there, and he just took the bait and ran with it when there was like, bro, use common sense. They just all signed contracts. Every one of them. Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer, Reggie McKenzie, Marvin out, they all have brand new multi-year deals. They're not firing them because that's millions of dollars that you're just going to flush down the toilet. And then on top of the contracts and all that shit. And so all of a sudden, Chris Greer, out of the greatness of his heart, is going to walk away. He's going to retire. He's going to move on to greener pastures or something. I mean, just the shit that is out there is just amazing to me. So, how do you handle this Tyreek mess? What do you do?
How do I handle this Tyreek mess? You basically gotta make it work. So Mike McDaniel in his comments sort of made it like, okay, I'm not gonna think too much about what he expressed moments after a season ended, and it's been a frustrating season, and now the finality of it finally has hit everyone, and there is no more hope, no more hopium going around in the locker room. So I basically take it as probably Mike McDaniel hears a lot of bullshit from Tyreek Hill, and then the next day comes around and Tyreek is all good. So maybe a little bipolar in that sense.
I can only phrase it this way: you have no idea. But go ahead.
Yeah. So
I'm just sorry, but you have no idea.
Of what? Of how much bullshit is involved with Tyreek? Oh,
you
right.
have no idea. You have no idea the bombs that have been dropped inside that building, and you guys have not found out about it.
Okay, there are some things that I can't even imagine.
This is kind of like when I gave the fair shot warnings of, hey, Flo is running roughshod through the building and all that kind of stuff, and then it kind of then got out. Same thing here. Some of the things that people don't realize that go on behind there, and it hasn't come out yet, but it's just it's interesting how you deal with this guy and all the shit that goes on a consistent basis. It is a soap opera of all soap operas.
Yeah, it really is. And then now kind of just peaking at this moment. So, but they got a long off season, a lot of months to do whatever, say whatever they need to communicate. And Mike McDaniel seemed to be a calming voice in this and saying, kind of like, I have some experience in dealing with this. And now it's going to come down to some conversations that'll go down over a lot of months to come. So, but he's really an untradeable asset right now. And it's kind of like you got to make it work, unless it's just there is no end in sight, and you just and it does come down to that. But aside from that, you just got to make it work.
Well, yeah. Well, how do you make something work when that person refuses to make it work? That's the problem here, I think.
And therein lies the problem, and why it's just not a good situation overall.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
What else can you say?
All right, and backup quarterback, where are you now? Because we had some people drinking the Snoop Huntley Kool-Aid last week. Like, look, bro, they either need to draft somebody, I believe, in the second, third rounds. If there's somebody that's doable there, I would draft somebody. But you also got to get yourself a veteran, because you cannot trust Tua. And by the way, they know they can no longer trust Tua. They're super frustrated with that.
Yeah. Backup quarterback becomes the roster priority. I mean, now we do have clear. All right, you can check some things off the list. Like, all right, McDaniel and Greer coming back. Stephen Ross released a statement right away, and we kind of figured it was going that way. We had been saying as much on this program, as much as a lot of people might want one or the other. You definitely are high on getting rid of McDaniel.
Okay. I would have fired him on the Indy game. That's what I would have gone after Vrabel, and I would have hired him. Or let me tell you something. They're about. I think they're going to lose Weaver. I'm pretty sure.
He's a hot head coaching name.
If I'm Weaver, I'm standing there going, bro, I'm better than this guy. I didn't need a job. I'd rather have Weaver than McDaniel.
Yeah, and well, therein lies an issue. And I remember it was said kind of among some in the media, sort of indicating or feeling, well, is Mike McDaniel hiring someone that could supplant him one day, like with the foresight of, if this season goes awry and Mike McDaniel does not lead the team to the heights that it aspires to, and Anthony Weaver looks like a great hot head coaching commodity, then boy, you might be in a situation where you have a bigger candidate for a head coaching job as your defensive coordinator under you than you yourself. But I know his name was thrown out there by Diana Rossini with the Bears, and will definitely be around a lot. So the Bears are definitely doing their homework on Anthony Weaver, and I expect a lot of interviews to get lined up for him.
Well, it's so Dolphins, right? Because what's the name? Not that I like him, but he was here as an assistant coach. Not that he was hired, but the Cincinnati head coach. What's his name?
Yeah, Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor. Okay. Yeah. Then we've got Dan Campbell, right? Who was here as an interim guy, wasn't hired. Again, that wasn't the right time to hire him anyway. He's back with Sean Payton. Learn and look, by the way, Sean has done a marvelous job, with the Denver Broncos. The offensive coordinator that Dan Campbell has is going to get a head coaching job, and he's a guy that was here as an assistant coach. And it's funny how they never hire the right head coach, right? But like other people that have come through the organization, come and gone, they go on to have success in other places. You know what I mean? It's the weirdest shit, dude. It really is. It's fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Ben Johnson with the Lions coming. Yeah, he was in, right? Yeah, I actually didn't even realize that until the other day when, because it was before my time on the beat. But just his connection to the Dolphins. We know Zach Taylor and a lot of others. And I mean, coaches go, move around the league. So any coach, you look up their resume, there's going to be multiple spots that they went to. Like, if a bunch of people, Mike McDaniel was just hired.
Derek Rizzi
Darren Rizzi, of course,
Darren Rizzi's be
as an
a
interim coach,
candidate.
special.
Yeah, and he's going to be a candidate for head coaching jobs. Hell, if not, please bring him back here to be the special teams coach, assistant head coach. Please bring him here. That's that's one change that I knew you weren't going to make a changes at the top, but if there's a couple changes I'd like to make, Danny Crossman is one, and the other one is I would make Frank Smith the play caller and let Mike McDaniel handle the personalities and do the head coaching stuff on the sideline so he can focus on that and let Frank focus on the game. I don't think Scatterbrain, Mr. McDaniel, can handle both, and that's been proven already.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. We're going on now 3 years that a vast majority of people that follow the team have felt it would be best for the team to move on from Danny Crossman as special teams coordinator. And Mike McDaniel in previous off seasons in retaining him has said he did not feel that the results were what they should be, but that he felt Crossman was the right one to correct them. I will say I do like some things about his process and in talking to him and how he thinks of the game, but it's just at some point the results are not there, and then you can't just keep going off of I'm projecting that he will fix this. It's just how many chances does one guy get? So I think, and I mean on special teams, yes. Jason Sanders had a fine season. Jake Bailey, very up and down, but might have been dealing with an injury. Malik Washington is a nice pickup in the return game, and they went to Tyreek Hill a little bit late on punt returns, but still some breakdowns, penalties on special teams, miscues, and it's a lot of things where we had that one game that filled with blunders, the Patriots game, when all the talk was added ties. You had Blake Ferguson rolling a snap back. You had a punt blocked in that game, a missed field goal. So there's been times where special teams has just been atrocious. So I'm with you on Danny Crossman, and certainly I think it would benefit Mike McDaniel a lot if I don't know if it's pride with him, but if he sets that pride, there's got to be some sense of pride that you got to set aside in order to give up play calling duties. I think it would be best for him if he just took that load off, let himself just be the head coach, and give Frank Smith a shot. You trust Frank Smith for a reason.
The stubbornness of Tua, and the stubbornness of McDaniel. That's a storyline for you, buddy. You want an article you want to write? The stubbornness of the two guys at the top have really hurt this team. One guy thinks he's Deebo Samuel at quarterback, and then the other guy just continues to do like things hard-headedly and fails and continues to fail at the same thing over and over again. It's really baffling how frustrating those two individuals are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just a year of frustration here. And finally now comes to a conclusion.
All right, so how big of a priority, now that you know, I think you have to admit with me now, finally, right? You cannot trust Tua ever again. He refuses to take care of himself. He refuses to learn. He talks in that press conference a couple of days ago was disturbing. I mean, all the information that Rappaport put out today, that clearly came from the team. Okay, because the agent's not going to put out that information to sabotage his own player. So the player comes out a couple of days ago, oh, yeah, I'm going to play if I'm ready to go, and this, that. And his injury's so bad that it limits everything he can do, and he's already limited as it is. And so clearly this is a guy that has no understanding of taking care of his body. You do agree with that, right? All right, right? So how do you fix the backup problem? How big of a priority is it? You have all your picks in the top rounds. You're going to have some space. You'll create some space. How do you do it? Do you get a higher pick, not a first round quarterback, but do you get like a kid that maybe might be really talented that falls in the second or third round? Do you start developing a guy to cover your ass? What kind of a backup do you have to get? How big of a priority? Because we know guard and defensive tackle and linebacker and safety. Yeah, we know those are priorities. But how big of a priority is that number 2 quarterback because of Tua?
Yeah, I mean, a huge priority, but I would think I'm going the route of a veteran backup um, uh, over a guy that you find in the draft, unless you just fall in love with a guy and really see something in him and feel you're much higher on him than everyone else. So, I mean, I could be convinced if that's the case, but I'm not just automatic saying it's got to be a young guy.
Mike McDaniel will really know if that guy's special because he saw it in Skylar Thompson for 3 years. So that gives you all the information you need on that one, right?
Yeah, which is also part of the reason why maybe I don't want to go the draft route. So
great point.
Yeah,
bro. Great point.
Right. I'd rather go with a proven backup that's a veteran and then bridge yourself there with that. So we've already talked about how much you're committed to the score so much, and now finally Stephen Ross has put out the statement, put everything to bed. Hey, it's like the tandem is coming back. Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer coming back. Tua's under contract, and Tyreek Hill has guarantees tied to his contract as much as maybe he wants out now, and Jaylen Wobble, Jalen Ramsey, etc. Then as you stick with this core, then just bring a veteran backup that I would trust in big games. If and when Tua does miss games, then that you could just plug in and he could still lead your team to some kind of a comparable level to a QB1.
I was just thinking about it. Can we call him Jaylen Wobble? Because that's what his hands do when the ball goes in his direction.
Jaylen Wobble.
Yeah. Wobble. I mean, that ball's going to – I mean, he's consistent, bro.
Since my first year on the beat, I thought of that song, Wobble With It, Wobble With It, Wobble With It, with Waddle's name.
I mean, let me tell you, Jaylen drops it like it's hot. I mean, all the time.
That one was used for Ted Ginn. I remember there was a viral video, as viral as you could get in 2009. Yeah.
Yep. I used Ted Ginn again this week as an example. We were the idiots that would tell him, stay in bound, asshole. Take on that guy for 2 more yards. And that dude played for 14 years because he said, no, you idiot, I'm not doing that. And guess what? We have a quarterback now that, I learned my lesson from Ted Ginn. I'm trying to, I saw Cam, he tweeted out a Michael Penix touchdown that he ran to the corner and dove into head first into the end zone. He goes, playmaking ability of Michael Penix. And I retweeted, I said, no, sir. That's actually not good for him. That's not how he extends his career. He's not a big guy. You don't be diving head first. That's stupid. And it's interesting how it comes full circle. Years ago, we criticized Ted Ginn for something that he was ahead of us in that he got it. He understood it. We wish the quarterback would actually do the same thing and figure it out.
Yeah. That'll be the biggest thing. I still hold out hope that he can learn. I feel like there's been other times where you've seen him adjust slightly, but then it still just comes back every now and then. If he can eliminate those instances, I still think he has it in him. I haven't completely lost hope that he can get that out of his system.
Great story for you. Go track down Ted Ginn.
Oh.
And write that story about him, that he was kind of ahead of his time in a way that people were critical of contact and staying in this, and he knows about it. He knows, and yet the way he played was smart, where it extended his career for 14 years, and how he dealt with even that criticism that nowadays you're not going to get that criticism anymore because you kind of understand how brutal the goddamn game is, and especially, if you're a light, a small receiver or a quarterback that's not a big quarter, dude, you don't want to take excessive hits. There's no reason for you to take any hits whatsoever. And Ted Ginn understood that. And so it's kind of interesting how it's completely, the opposite of what we were thinking as fans and what the player was doing, and how we're thinking now as fans and what the player is doing. It's interesting. So saying, and then when you write the story, email it to Tua and to his agent and all his people. So
Get word to him. I got you.
Not that he'll learn, by the way.
Oh no.
No. All right. Any other issues you see going on with the team outside of the Tyreek thing in the locker room?
Well, as far as issues and yeah, not of that magnitude. I would think. I mean, issues just the stuff that they have to take care of in the off season, which is all right. Backup quarterback we mentioned, a special teams coordinator. If they could make a change there, you're probably maybe. I think you're going to have to be finding a defensive coordinator, assuming that Anthony Weaver does find a head coaching job. But maybe you luck out and the teams find other candidates, maybe that are more offensive minded, if that's what a lot of these teams with vacancies prefer. But I have a feeling Weaver is going to impress a lot of teams in interviews. So maybe you're looking for a defensive coordinator. And O-line and becoming a more physical, tougher team. So interior O-line, physicality, those are some of my priorities that I would point to. And, of course, safety. You're probably looking at a new safety tandem, whether that's with Weaver, whether that's with someone else. Obviously, the new defensive coordinator then would have to spearhead that effort.
God, I love Holland, dude. I don't know what happened to him with those knee injuries last year, but he has never been the same again, bro.
And, I asked him about that this past week, and then he said no, that his knees have been fine. So maybe he feels fine, but it's still affecting his play. But he says it's not that. So maybe he's not making excuses for himself. But
dude, he can't make excuses. He can't tell you it is because he's headed to free agency.
Yeah.
Start writing that he's, my knees since last year, they've affected me and this and that, and then his free agency's fucked. So right. he has to feed you bullshit, but I don't care what he feeds you. I know what I see with my eyes. He's not the same player, bro. From the first 2 years.
That much we can tell. Yeah.
No way. He's not even close, dude. Something happened to him with those injuries. Maybe he shouldn't have played on it. The Dolphins have a tendency of, letting people play on injuries. Jalen Phillips. So, it's kind of like one of those things. Maybe, when somebody's injured, you kind of like got to put them on the side. And so they've kind of screwed up with that a couple times. Tua, they finally learned their lesson here. There's a guy you gotta protect him from himself because he can't protect himself, unfortunately. Sucks. Anyway, follow him on Twitter, David Furones _ catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Have a fantastic weekend, my brother, and we're back to Tuesdays. We'll catch you on Tuesdays.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
You got it. All right, Welt Rheaume. We love talking about Welt Rheaume. Jeff is he's in pain right now. He's texted me like 86 times during the game. He's been a longtime season ticket holder, fan, Canes, Dolphins, Heat, Panthers. He is a pure hometown guy. Daniel Rheaume, another hometown guy. Although he follows sports, but more casually. He flies stunt planes. Okay, that's kind of like his hobby on the side. You and I, it's sports. Daniel Rheaume is a stunt plane. So when he walks into a courtroom, you think he's going to flinch when he's doing all kinds of stunts? He's got cojones. 954-966-4646. You want a pair of dudes with a pair of cojones that are going to really defend your rights? You call Welt Rheaume. Anywhere in Florida, 954-966-4646. Personal injury, bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation. Tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you. 954-966-4646.